This pen has been on this desk for 31 years. Ellie gave it to me on November 18th, 1994, the day my Senate confirmation was finalized. Gold-filled cross pen, engraved with my initials, CHW. I used it for 22 years. Every sentence I ever signed, every motion, every order that changed a life, was signed with this pen. My right hand trembles in the mornings now. It starts around 5:47 when I wake up and quiets by 6:30. 9 years and 8 months clean, and the tremor still remains. A neurologist told me in 2018 that high-dose benzodiazepine use can leave permanent residual damage. He called me some patients. That is how you end up in the records. I look at this pen, and I think about the last time I held it with a steady hand. In October of 2003, I presided over a major federal opioid trafficking case in Kentucky, Appalachian Supply Company, 19 defendants. I delivered the lead sentence, 22 years, no parole, to a man named Gerald Fitch. On the afternoon I sent him away, I had taken 3 milligrams of Ativan in the 4 hours before entering the courtroom. I did not know back then that this was a problem. The Ativan was prescribed by my psychiatrist, Dr. Paul Dreyfus. It was medicine. Gerald Fitch was a criminal. I was a patient. The law makes that distinction. The receptor GABA-A does not. It started in September 2001. I was managing 2 domestic terrorism cases while anonymous threats were being made against the courthouse. I had a security detail I couldn't even tell my wife about. A federal judge does not admit vulnerability. The pressure doesn't exist if you don't name it. The insomnia began that October. I'd wake at 2:17 in the morning, heart racing at 110 beats per minute, certain I'd made a procedural error that would reverse my career. Dr. Dreyfus prescribed Ativan on October 11th, 1 milligram 3 times a day. He said, "Just a bridge, Clarence, 6 weeks, maybe 8, until the pressure normalizes." The bridge lasted 14 years. By 2003, the prescribed dose wasn't enough. Tolerance develops in weeks, that's medical fact, but no one told me. I started doctor shopping before the state had digital tracking. I saw a second GP, Dr. Webb, for anxiety, without telling him about Dreyfus. 2 more milligrams. Then there was social contact with a defense attorney, Michael Trent, who had access to things I didn't ask about. We never exchanged money. I told myself that made it okay. At my peak, I was taking 6 milligrams of lorazepam a day. The FDA maximum is 4. I was 50% above the limit I would have used to convict anyone standing in front of me. In a federal courtroom, the judge's bench is elevated, 3 steps above the floor. From up there you see everything: the jury, the prosecution, the gallery. Every face is angled upward toward you. There is no mirror on the bench. That is not a metaphor. There is literally no reflective surface. You see outward in all directions, but you never see yourself. The Ativan kept me on that bench. Without it, the withdrawal, the tremors, the cognitive fog would have been impossible to hide. I took the pills to do my job. I took more to maintain the baseline. I told myself I was managing a medical condition, fundamentally different from the addicts I sentenced. But the brain doesn't read your salary or your title. I couldn't see that from up there. The first thing I lost was the speed of my mind. I was known for cutting to the logical center of an argument in minutes. By 2005, it started to slow. A second, 2 seconds. I attributed it to age. I was 50. It seemed reasonable. By 2008, my clerk, Benjamin Marsh, noticed inconsistencies in my decisions. He was 26, protecting me with careful language. I explained it away. In 2009 and 2011, 2 attorneys filed conduct complaints. They were investigated informally and closed. No one asked about substances. You don't ask a federal judge if he's high on his own supply. Then came July 2012. Ellie found the bottles in a locked closet in my study. 4 prescriptions, different names. She asked, "Clarence, what are these?" I told her they were blood pressure meds. I lied to her face. She looked at me for a long time. She's a literature professor. She knows how to read subtext. She just said, "All right," and put the box back. But a door closed that day. We still shared a house, but we stopped talking about anything that mattered. My son Tom stopped calling in 2010. When he found out the truth in 2019, that I was sentencing traffickers while dependent on benzos, he sent one final email. I haven't spoken to him since. My daughter Maggie calls, but it's superficial. Only Daniel calls every Monday. He never says he forgives me. He just stays on the line. The end came in March 2014. I was sentencing a man named Curtis Ray Holton, 34 years old. He'd distributed oxycodone that killed 2 teenagers. The guidelines said 15 to 24 years. I decided on 18. I entered the courtroom at 9:47 a.m., having taken 3 milligrams of Ativan since breakfast. I'd calculated the dose to stay functional. It was part of my preparation, like reviewing the case file. I read the sentence. Curtis stood there in his orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed. He looked at me from the floor, from below the bench, and he didn't look angry. He looked like he understood something I hadn't told him yet. When the session ended, I followed protocol. All rise. I exited the side door. But I didn't go to my chambers. I went to the men's room at the end of the hall. I stood at the sink for 11 minutes. I know because the wall clock read 10:34 when I walked in and 10:45 when I left. I looked at my face in the mirror for those 11 minutes. I saw a 59-year-old man in a dark suit, a man who had just sentenced someone for distributing the very kind of chemistry he needed just to stand up straight. I couldn't find a category for what I was in any legal framework I'd ever studied. I didn't have a name for it. The taper took 18 months, October 2015 to April 2016. I retired on health grounds in February. The Bar Association handled it with discretion, no headlines, just a quiet exit. Now, I spend my afternoons in this library. I request copies of the 3,400 cases I presided over. I go through them, trying to see if my decisions were sound. I have no legal jurisdiction anymore, but I read them anyway. Many look fine. Some, I'm not so sure. The transcripts don't show what was in the judge's bloodstream. The family photograph on my desk is facing down. It's been that way since 2017. I can't turn it over. Those people in the photo were living with a man who was hiding, and they didn't know. I don't know how to look at them. I sentence men for what I was doing at home, not because I was a hypocrite. I genuinely didn't recognize myself in them. The robe, the title, the Rotary Club awards, those were the categories that told me I was different. The receptor GABA-A doesn't care about your robe. The dependency is the same. The structural changes in the brain are the same. I know this now. I have read the literature carefully because that's what I was trained to do. I just couldn't read it from up there. Daniel called this past Monday. We talked for 37 minutes about local politics. Before hanging up, he asked if I was sleeping. I told him yes. It's mostly true. I don't wake up at 2:17 anymore. He said, "Good, Dad." It's not an absolution. It's just a statement. I'm not sure it's enough. But after 11 minutes in a courthouse bathroom staring at a man you don't recognize, maybe it has to be. I still haven't named him.